So today is the day that Battles of Legend comes out. It is now officially legal, and in that set, one of the archetypes we get is the new Appliancer archetype. Now, every now and then in Yu-Gi-Oh, there tends to be a deck or an archetype that I just have some sort of weird interest in for no real reason, and Appliancer is one of them. So if you want to click a quick TL didn't watch about Appliancers, they have a lot of potential. They can spam a lot of monsters. They have some cool link monsters, but in their current state, they're really not that great. But I do think that they have some synergy with other archetypes. I do think in the future with more support cards, whether direct or indirect, this deck could actually be pretty good. So first, to go over what the deck does if you don't know what they are. The Appliancers at their core are level 1 machines. The two best ones are dark machines. There's a third main deck one that is a water machine that's over here, but this one's not that great. So first off, we have Copy Buckle and we have Soccer Roll. So Copy Buckle, the names are kind of weird. So you can target one Appliancer monster you control and special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, this card name becomes that targeted monster till the end phase. That's going to be relevant later. And then during the main phase, if this card's in your graveyard except the turn that it was sent there, you can banish it and then target one Appliancer monster you control, special summon one from your graveyard with the same name or from your hand, which is pretty cool. So that effect doesn't really come up a lot, but it's nice to keep in mind. Then we have Socket Roll. So these are the two main ones. Like I said, has the same effect where you can special summon if you control an Appliancer. However, if you let me actually get the exact wording so I don't mess this up. So, if another Appliancer Socket Roll is special summoned to your field while you control this monster, you can special summon one Socket Roll from your deck. So, if you go Socket Roll, special Copy Buckle becomes Appliancer, or becomes Socket Roll, excuse me. Then you special summon another Socket Roll from your deck. So, you go Socket Roll, Copy Buckle, Socket Roll, which just gets you 3 monsters on board, which is pretty cool. Unfortunately, they're not tuners, so you can't Hulk spam, but that would just be too easy with this deck. Now, the other main deck one that I want to talk about really quickly is Break Buckle. It's really not that great. It's a machine dupe target. That's really its best attribute that has the Appliancer name, so you can go into the links. It just like protects from battle and card effects in grave. Its effect is rather meaningless for the actual combos you want to pull off, but a lot of decks do play it anyway just because it has the Appliancer name. Then we have the next really good card, probably the best card in the archetype to be honest, is the Field Spell. So Appliancer Electrical, I can't even know what that word said, but Appliancer World. So, when it's activated, you add one Appliancer card from your deck to your hand, except the Field Spell. So that includes the other spells we'll get to in a bit. And it has a secondary recursion effect, where once per turn, when a monster clears an attack, you can move... Actually, no, excuse me, that's 3 effects. So first, you get the monster or get the card from the deck when you activate it, kind of like a Trickstar Light State, which is pretty cool. And then it also has another effect once per turn. If you link summon an Appliancer link monster, you can add one Appliancer monster from your graveyard to your hand. That's pretty cool for nice recursion. Like that a lot. Then we have the last effect, which is relevant for the links. Once per turn, when a monster declares an attack, doesn't have to be an Appliancer, you can move one Appliancer monster you control to another one of your main monster zones. You only use that effect once per turn. So that's relevant for the links, which we'll get to in a second, because they have different effects whether they are linked or co-linked, which is a rather interesting concept because you don't get it. They're like plugged in and they're not plugged in. That's like the whole gimmick. But then for the rest of the Appliancer cards, we have Reuse, which is a Monster Reborn, basically. Pretty cool. Searchable Monster Reborn. Also, this deck that I'm showing, it's not an actual deck, it's more just a skeleton of some ideas that I have. I have 2 different decks, so to say. They're not really full decks, just what I'm testing. Then we have one Appliancer Test, which is kind of like a soul charge for Link 1s from the grave, which sounds really good. However, with the Link 1s, they can't be used as Link material the turn they're summoned, and they all point up. So this really isn't great turn 1, but in theory, just as a card to be able to summon multiple monsters from grave, pretty cool. And then the last players I want to talk about, they are not directly Appliancer cards, but they are fitting with the archetype very nicely. We have Machine Dupe, obviously. These guys have less than 500 attack, so you can just spam out on the board. 1 for 1, because they're level 1. They're level 1 Dark Machines. All 3 of those attributes are very abusable in Yu-Gi-Oh! Then we have Where Art Thou, just to get them out again. Then we have the Code Breaker stuff, which is going to be interesting. So I guess I'll talk about more about the Code Breakers once I explain the links more, because it'll make more sense. So first, for the Link 1s, we have what is one of the better links in the archetype. We have Laundry Dragon here. So, one Appliancer monster. Now, you may notice I'm playing Format Skipper. You could actually use Format Skipper to copy one of the links and then just link it to itself. However, they point up, so you can't summon Parallel Exceed, which is why I'm thinking that's not really the best thing to play. But in theory, Parallel Exceed's a great card, so that's why I was trying it out. So anyway, cannot be used link material turn and summon like all the other Link 1s. Neither player takes battle damage from attacks involving this card. Once per turn after damage calc, if this co-linked card battled an opponent's monster, you can banish that opponent's monster. Then once per turn after damage calc, if this card that is not co-linked, battle an opponent's monster, you can destroy that opponent's monster, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the original attack of the destroyed attack, or the monster, I should say. So basically, this card's kind of cool because against the Numerions, if they just do like the very standard Numerion thing where they summon the one, I think it's called Zexal, I forget the Azathoth-like card, you just normal summon any of your Appliancers linked to this, attack over it. Which, like, it gets over the problem, sure, but you're stuck with the link one that points up and doesn't really do anything because you can't really combo from there because it points up. So it's a cool card, probably one of the better links, but the fact that this is one of the better links and not that great kind of shows that the archetype's not really great right now. But it is really cheap, I will say that. The deck came out today, the set came out today, and the most expensive card is like 30 cents. I worked it out where if you were to get 3 of every card, it would be like $8. So I'm probably going to get it anyway just because it's so cheap. Anyway, for the other link ones, we have the Kappa Scale. So cannot use link material, of course. You contribute this co-link card, You contribute this co-link card, special summon 1 Appliancer link from your graveyard, except Kappa Scale. You contribute this card that is not co-link, special summon a level 4 or lower Appliance monster from your graveyard. You can only use each effective Appliancer Kappa once per. Now, the interesting part about the level 4 or lower is the only main deck ones are level 1. So that kind of implies that potentially we will get more support for this deck, whether it be like a level 4 monster, whether it be other link monsters. I know this is an anime archetype, and there's a couple of anime cards that we don't have yet. Like there's one that's a link one that's like a lion. It doesn't really have a great effect, it like halves attack or something, but it's still support that we don't have. So in the future this card could be better, but right now it's really not that great. Then we have Vacuum Elephant's actual one's actually pretty good. So can be used link material, turn and summon, points up, it's 1 link material, so you can only use each effect once per turn, only once that turn. You can send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard, then target 1 card your opponent controls, destroy it, pretty cool. And if it's co-linked, you can target 1 monster in your opponent's main monster zone, destroy it. So kind of like a Nightmare Phoenix / Cerberus-like effect in the same card. Really, really cool card. I like it a lot. Awkward arrow because it points up. I feel like if a lot of these Appliancer Link ones, if there was a way where they like pointed down, they could still function in the way that they're intended to, I feel like it would be a lot better. Just because you can combo a lot better. And if they can use link material to turn their summon, but then they might be too good because they're link ones. Because you can just go into like Vacuum Elephant, into Laundry Dragon, into like another one. So for the last link one, we have Driver Drake, the Dryer, I guess. So can't be used link material, turn it summon, you know that already. This card gains 1000 attack when it's linked. And then once per turn during your battle phase, if this card is co-linked, except damage stab, you can switch the location of 2 Appliancer monsters to your main monster zones, including this card. If you do, the other monster makes a second attack during each battle phase this turn. Notice it says each battle phase this turn, implying that if you could get a second battle phase, you attack twice in that battle phase as well, which is kind of interesting. Don't know how you can pull that off, but cool wording, Konami. Then once per turn, when this card that is not co-link is targeted for an attack, you can get that attack. So again, like a lot of these effects, like they're not like, oh my god, that's so good. They're not like, you know, Dingirsu-like effects where like, wow, this makes this deck so good. It's like, oh, that's, you know, not bad, but nothing really amazing. So the switching of the cards really matters because you can go linked into not co-linked. Then we have the Link 2, which is the card that makes them co-link because it points down with 2 arrows. Probably one of the better ones too. So this one can be used as link material to turn and summon, requires 2 Appliancer monsters, and its effect reads, your opponent's monster cannot target this co-link card for attacks. Also, your opponent cannot target this link cards with card effects. So right there, that's actually pretty cool. And then during damage count, if your Appliancer link monster co-link to this card battles opponent's monster, quick effect, your battling monster gains 1000 attack for each monster co-linked to this card during damage calculation only. Then once per turn, if Appliancer link monster you control that is not co-linked by, if not co-linked by this card is destroyed by battle card effect, draw a card. So second effect's not that great, but the first effect's kind of cool. Basically, the deck, the main combo for like the pure version of the deck is if you open up with one, basically you want both of these in your hand, right? You want Socket Roll and Copy Buckle, which you can get to by either hard drawing both, or you can go to the field spell in one of them, or you can have Terraforming in one of them. Basically, you need to get to one of each of these, right? So you normal Socket Roll, special Copy Buckle, special another Socket Roll from deck, link 1 into, or excuse me, link 2 into Sell Up Pulse, whatever it's called, and then link 1 to the Laundry Dragon, and right there you have very easily, you just have the Selfless pointing down to one of the link 1s. And then if you have any sort of extension from there, like let's say you have Reuse in your hand, maybe you have Monster Reborn, maybe you had Machine Do, maybe you had 1-for-1, you get the other link 1 as well. So now to explain sort of the rest of the cards, the support cards. So first we have the Codebreaker stuff, which I think is one of the better support options for this deck. And let me just read what it does. So first we have Codebreaker 0 Day. So all link monsters pointing to this card lose 1000 attack except Codebreaker link monsters. If a Codebreaker link monster on your field destroy a battle or card effect, while this card is on the field, destroy this card. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you add 1 Codebreaker 0 Day from your hand. So basically this is a brick. The effect doesn't matter. The main reason why you play is because of the extra deck cards. So This, as well as the 2 Link Monsters, are both commons in Eternity Code, being this deck is like super cheap right now. So let's go over the extra deck cards. So first up, we have Codebreaker Virus Swordsman. 2 effect monsters, generic, up and down arrows, pretty cool. So when this card is special summoned, if it is Link, you special summon 1 Codebreaker 0 day from your hand, deck, or graveyard to a zone a Link monster points to. So right there you get the little extension there. Then during the end phase, if this card is in your graveyard because it was destroyed, while in your possession, bind opponent's card effect and send there this turn, you special summon this card, but banishment leaves the field. So first effect's while you're really playing it, it's just a Link 2 that just summons the Codebreaker, which is kind of cool. It's like a worse Halki Fireaxe because it's, doesn't involve tuners. It's kind of a cool card. And then we have the other Codebreaker Virus Berserker. So 2+ monsters including Codebreaker monster. So basically, if you can make Virus Swordsman get the effect off, you have it for free. But what this one does is when this card is special summoned, if Link, you can special summon up to 2 Codebreaker monsters from your hand and or graveyard to any zone a Link monster points to. So you can get the main deck one as well as the other Link, which is kind of cool. And that's really the main reason why you play it, honestly. The rest of the effects don't really matter. That's why you play it. I'm not even going to bother reading it. So in theory, what you could do is you could do the same thing with Kappa Scale where you get 3 of them, and then just go into the Codebreaker stuff, and then you make like a Link 4. Like you can make potentially Nightmare Griffin, which I think I have over here. There's a lot of cool stuff this deck can do, and I'm really excited about it, and I want this deck to be good, and I feel like I said before, right now this deck is not good, but it has so many attributes that can make it good, and it just seems like such a cool and fun deck. And just look at the artwork. Like, it just looks so cool. So I'm gonna mess around with this deck a lot. Mainly because Mermail is kind of in a boring state right now, because since like Hulk came out, the deck's been basically the same, just Hulk Turbo, get to Hulk, get to Hulk, get to Hulk, which is fine, I still love the deck, but I'm not really a big fan of just decks that are Hulk Turbo, which is why this variant, even though it has Hulk Turbo, isn't really my preferred way to play the deck right now. So first we have Psy Reflector for the Hulk Turbo stuff. This card, basically what you do, and it's a little bit confusing, so when it's normal or special, when you add 1 Assault Mode activator or 1 card that specifically lists Assault Mode in its text to your hand except itself. So basically you summon this, you add Assault Beast, discard Assault Beast, get Assault Mode activate, use Psy Reflector's effect, discard Assault Mode activate, special summon Assault Beast from the graveyard, and then link into your Link 1. Or excuse me, link into Halki Fireaxe. So this is a tuner, which is great. It's also a level 1 Psyche, so you can E-Telly it out. You're probably just better off playing like righty-lefty driver or Draconet plus a vanilla tuner, but I saw this and I thought it was pretty cool. So that's like the main things that I'm working on right now for this deck, and then I have like the pure the pure deck, so to say. So I see a lot of people thinking that they can play this deck in like a going second fashion. And the issue with this deck going second is, like, sure, you have things like the Elephant, which can pop cards, and you have things like Launch Dragon, which can attack over pretty much anything and not be destroyed. You can't OTK, because you go to the Link 1s and you use Link material, and you can't really get to, like, Boral Sword too easily, as well as a monster to switch to defense mode for Boral Sword, because you have all these Link monsters. So it's where I'm struggling a little bit, is with this card, or with this deck, I should say. So I put a bunch of hand traps in it because in theory, like, if you go second, you could just stop them with your like 15 hand traps and then combo off with Kappa Scale and Socket Roll. But then you can't really OTK, which is a problem, which is why I wanted to play the Codebreaker stuff, because it helps you OTK. Also Nightmare Griffin, because with the Codebreaker stuff, you could go first and then go into, if you have a really good hand basically, go into Celtipus, pointing down to Griffin, and then with the diagonal arrow, you could have one of the Link 1s. Mainly, where is it? Where's the Elephant? The Elephant or the Fire one, basically. So, like, you have something going on there, but it's really not that great now, is it? Now, Griffin would be culling, so you could discard a card to set something. So, in theory, you could just Curious Griffin, but then if all you're doing is Curious Griffining, like, what's the point of even playing this deck, right? Because there's decks that can do that better. I also saw a lot of OCG stuff with this deck, which is interesting. It seems like the OCG players really like this deck. I don't know if it's because it's an anime archetype or what. But I saw people playing Orchist with this deck, which is really interesting. Because in theory, you think it would work because, they're dark machines, they spam out monsters. Unfortunately, they need your normal summon, so it's hard to get into the Orchist stuff. Unless you, like, hard draw an Orchist monster and then play Barricade Board Blocker, link 2 into Barricade Board Blocker, you have the 1 Appliancer left on board, discard your Orchist, and then like be able to go to Galatea somehow by getting it back, whether you discarded like a harp or something, or a harp span, whether you discarded like Orcus Nightmare or something to get something back. I put Brass Bombard in here just because it's a level 1 machine. That's to represent the Orcus, that's why. Because you can also discard this, and then you have an Orcus in hand, banish it and special summon it from your hand. But like, again, I feel like at this point, like, is it really worth playing Appliancers with Orcus? Like, what's really the point? I'm definitely messing around more with this deck, and I do feel like there's something you can do. So let me know in the comments down below what you think. If you have any other ideas for the Appliancer deck, leave a like if you enjoyed this craft. If you're known, we keep testing with this deck. I plan on ordering the cards eventually when I come up with a more secure list and showing like an actual deck profile. But either way, thanks for watching. See you all next time, and bye-bye.